Welcome to Maxi Pizza, where Massimo runs his business as if it was a stock market. Now, when items are in demand, the price will go up and vice versa. So Massimo wants our help to slice his data and produce some analysis using pivot tables and slicers. If you have never heard about slicers, you're gonna love them, so stay tuned and see how they work. I have some data here, nothing fancy, and I have another sheet where I added 2 pivot tables. If you forgot how to add a pivot table and format it, don't panic, I have a lesson about this. You can find the link in the description of this video. Now if you see I have the items, this is the average price and the sales. I want to show you how you can filter this data the traditional way. So you just click anywhere in your table, right click, show field list, and here you have, for example, state. Let's put it in filters. You go here, select multiple items, and you select what you want. But this is not nice. I have nausea already. Let's remove it, kick it out, right click, add a slicer. This is my slicer. When I click, for example, you see that the data is changing. Now I want to put the slicer in the right place, so I have 2 options here. I can press on shift and it will go horizontally and vertically in a straight line, or I can press on alt and keep it pressed and you can snap it to the grid. You see how it's snapping? But in this case, I'm just gonna use the traditional way. I'm old school. I'm just gonna do it manually. Let's clear all our selection and let's start formatting because cosmetics are very important. Massimo is Italian. He likes fashion, right? We click, we have slicer. Under slicer, first let's select a color. I know Massimo loves blue. Don't tell anybody, this is his favorite color. And here we're gonna start adding another color. Because I have so many data points, it looks nicer like this. I can also play with the height and width of each button. So if I click here, you see they become smaller. You can play with it on your own. This is the height and width of the whole slicer. So for example, if I want more width, I can do it like this, or just manually, old school way. There we go. The other thing I want to do is change the caption. So here it's pick a state, press enter, there we go. Now if you see, I can select one state and get the data for the state, but you're gonna tell me, what if you want to select more than one state, right? So there are several ways to select more than one state. The first one is you select one, you left click on the mouse, keep it pressed, and just you go down, you can select multiple ones. So those data points are for all the states. The other way is select one state, press Ctrl, and then you can select others. If you want to deselect one, that's the same concept. There we go. And then you have another way, which is using this multi-select. If you have it on, whenever you select something, it gets added. If you click on another one that is selected, it will get removed. So those are a few ways how to do this. I'm just gonna remove this and click on this one to clear everything. It's time to add another slicer. So let's click on our table and go to the category, right click, add as slicer. This is my category. Now the problem with the category is that it is big and I have very little real estate. How do I fit it? Let me show you. First of all, let's remove this title. We don't need it. There are only 2 categories, right? Right click, you have slicer settings, display headers, remove it, press OK. There we go. Now the other problem is this blank. I want to remove it. Right click, slicer settings, and here you can do hide items with no data. I click on this, this will disappear. The other thing I want to show you is that you can also sort your data ascending or descending, or using a custom list, so you can use those options also. Press OK, the blanks are gone because they don't have any data. So now I saved enough, this is cool. The only thing I need to do is use the color scheme. There we go, we can select the drinks, Pepsi Cola, Coca-Cola, etc. I'm just gonna select everything now and ask Massimo, Massimo, do you like it?
This is fantastic. People should subscribe to the channel and like the video.
Yes, I know everybody will subscribe and they will like the video. It doesn't take time and it will make you happy. Anything for you, Massimo. Now let me impress you a bit more. You can see here we have this menu selected, but it looks like it's a design mode. How to get rid of this? Very easy, right click, not slicer settings, size and properties. You go to position and layout, disable resizing and moving. You see now when I click on it, it's not gonna show. We can do the same for the second one. There we go. Now it's much nicer for the user. Let's add a timeline because I know management runs after you all the time to check out the data from the previous period and compare it to this period, etc. So to add a timeline, just click on one of the tables and go to Pivot Table Analyze. You have Insert Timeline. Click on Date because that's the only field that has a date in it, the other ones they don't. This is my timeline. Let's move it like this and just make it a bit smaller. But you don't have to have it in months. You can also have it by quarters. Select one quarter, select several quarters, etc. This is to deselect everything and have the whole data set. Now, I don't know if you noticed something very important. If you didn't, then be careful about this because you might get fired at the end of the day. If I select the state, notice those two tables. I click, this one changes, this one doesn't. And that's a big disaster. Imagine management taking decisions based on this. So how do I make sure that everything links to those two tables? Well, this is not very difficult. You right click and you have report connections, and here you have to select all the pivot tables associated with this slicer. We can do the same for all of them. So that's the second one, and here for the timeline, this is the same concept, report connections. There we go. You can also find this here, report connections, and you can find it under slicer, same one. So now everything is okay. I want to impress Massimo with one more trick. If you see here, we have so many states and it's very difficult to pick them, right? How can we fix this to make it more user-friendly? There are two ways to do this. I'm gonna show you one in this video. If you want me to show you the other one, just let me know in the comment section. So if we go back to our data, we have the first letter of the state. So that's I, N, etc. I'm gonna use it. So let's add an additional slicer. This is my first letter, right click, add a slicer. Let's put it here. Let's make it a bit bigger. And don't forget to link the other table. So we know how to do it now. Let's just click. Other than that, I just want to modify the cosmetics. You know Massimo how he is. So I'm just gonna do it extremely quickly. There we go. These are the cosmetics done. Now let me show you one problem with this. If I go, for example, to Georgia, the G will come first, and I don't want this. I want to have the same alphabetical order because that's way easier, right? So what do we do in this case? We can just right click here, and then we have slicer settings. We can remove show items with no data allowed. Let's click on this, and now everything is normal. No matter what you select, you can see what is selected. Now the reason I added this is to help me with this slicer, right? So let me just unselect everything and let's click on, for example, N. You see that Nebraska, everything is coming up. That's cool, that helps. But I don't want to see the other states. It's annoying, it's not nice. So let's right click on this one, slicer settings, and here what I'm gonna do is hide items with no data. The same thing I've done for drinks and pizza. Press OK, and now whatever you select, you only have what is associated with this letter. That makes it very easy. So if I want R, I can press Ctrl and select I also. Now I have every state starting with I and R, and it makes it easier to select from this menu. Well, it seems that Massimo liked it so much that he prepared the knives to keep us here working for him.